Well, it's the end of the 2024 to 2025 hunting season, or falconry season. So Dad has asked me whether or not I can answer 2 questions about flying a golden eagle again this season. The first being, what do I enjoy? What are the positives? What are the attractive attributes of flying a golden eagle in the UK? And secondly, what are the drawbacks? What are the things that you dislike? So I think I'll start with the things I dislike so that we can end on a more positive note. The things that I dislike about the eagle are the physical and mental or psychological challenges. So flying, I think I can hear my dogs in the kennel about to have a fight. We're all good, we'll edit that bit out. 2 grumpy bitches. So physically it's demanding. They're a large bird. Stan weighs under 8 pounds, he's £7 11 ounces, give or take half an ounce. Some of these guys are carrying some whopping female golden eagles. How they do it, I don't know, fair play. But it's a large, cumbersome thing that fidgets, that when you carry them on the fist, they're up in your face, and you're carrying those up and down hills on very rough, wet, sticky, muddy terrain usually. So that takes its toll on, well, for me it takes its toll on my back and the inside of my left shoulder blade. And obviously a little bit of arm ache there. Your legs ache because you're walking and you're carrying weights whilst you walk. And then psychologically, you're doing all of that and your eagle will miss hair after hair, certainly if you're flying my eagle. So you might go a dozen or more, let's face it, times where your eagle misses the hair. Sometimes some of those flights are rubbish or mediocre, but every now and then you get a flight that's absolutely jaw-dropping. It just makes everything worthwhile. When I'm not flying the eagle, I'm constantly thinking about the eagle. I'm constantly thinking, how can I make things better? How can I improve the hiccups that we've had, any negative habits that are forming? How can I resolve those? How can I improve him physically? How can I make him fitter and stronger? Well, the list goes on. And when I'm not sat on the sofa thinking about him, or in the car thinking about him, I quite often dream about flying an eagle. As strange as that sounds, it's just become something that's all-encompassing. Much like other aspects of falconry, but for me, flying a golden eagle is so different to any other species I've flown. And I've not flown lots of species, but from what I have flown, flying and hunting with a golden eagle is different to everything else. They're a different animal psychologically. So yeah, that's some of the negatives, is that it does become an obsession, just thinking about the eagle. I obviously have a young family. I have other birds, hawks and falcons that are in my care, several dogs, and a young family. I've got a lovely fiance who's very understanding and allows me a lot of time out in the field to try and learn about falconry, but especially the golden eagles at the minute, and listens to everything I moan about when I come home from a stressful or unsuccessful day. And we've got a 3-year-old child that obviously anybody with kids knows they take up a lot of your time, and throughout the hunting season I don't put a lot of time into that child because I'm caring for my other baby, Stan the eagle. So I wouldn't recommend flying a golden eagle to someone who just doesn't have a lot of time. I mean, if you struggle to make your hawk or falcon something really special, something breathtaking, something that is at the peak fitness wise at the start of the season, midway through the season, that is mentally sound and psychologically strong, if you don't have the time to put into your hawks or your falcons like that, you won't come close with an eagle. I'm struggling as it is. I struggle to have the time. Whatever I do is not enough, and I know it's not enough. I'm not putting enough time in. I work 5 days a week to support us as a family, and I can't afford to have another day or two off a week, weekends, to hunt my eagle. I have to take 20 minutes to half an hour out of my lunch break. Luckily I'm able to take my eagle to work, and I can exercise him in the fields at work, and get him to drag a rope up and down a hill to me 20 or 30 times a day, just to keep that sort of obedience and the muscle and stamina there, so that when I do get out 2 or 3 times a week, I can ensure that my hawk is fit and strong and mentally okay. The last thing I want is an eagle sat in a tree refusing to come back because I haven't put the time in to man it, and I get that through fist work. I'm quite lucky in a way that Stan is so placid, temperament wise usually, and I can do a lot of rope dragging and fist work with him throughout the week. But it's still not enough. I know it's not enough, and I know that if I wanted to get the most of that out of that eagle, I'd need to hunt with him 3 to 4 times a week minimum. And that's just not going to happen, and that does sort of put me on the fence of whether or not I should continue flying a golden eagle, or if I continue just getting by, as I put it. So very demanding if you're not in the right place in your life. I'm not in the right place in my life at the moment to fly an eagle, but being the, how do I put it, stubborn, know-it-all young man, I didn't listen to my dad. Yeah, I'll be alright. I've flown hawks and falcons on and off the land in the daytime for years. They've all been at a pretty good level, so I can do it with an eagle. But golden eagles just are not like anything else that you've flown. Well, certainly for me anyway, they're a completely different kettle of fish. So there's a lot of reasons that you shouldn't fly an eagle. And yeah, if I'm perfectly honest, I probably shouldn't be flying a golden eagle at this stage in my life. However, by starting to fly him, I've become very addicted to golden eagles, and I couldn't. There's 2 reasons why I won't be more sensible than I am and give up flying eagles for this sort of time in my life. And the first being that I could never not practice falconry. I'm someone that has to participate in falconry to some level. However, that level has to be a high level, because I cannot not fly another golden eagle. I have to fly golden eagles now. I'm addicted to the species and hunting with the species. It's sort of tough luck in a way, and I have to push myself to make the most of it and do the best I can, until there are signs that I just can't, because although a very complicated species, they're very obsessive. It's sort of like I've gone from being, and I don't know if that's because I'm coming to the end of my 20s instead of being at the start of my 20s. I don't know if I've gone from being a know-it-all typical young man of I'm 18, I know everything, to a 28-year-old that's sort of maturing and thinking, well, actually I don't know much at all, or whether or not that eagle falconry is so complex that I've gone from flying hawks to a good standard to I feel like an apprentice with a first bird that I probably shouldn't have, because I've not done enough research and not learnt enough. And there's something very humbling about that, and it's something that like a good book, I can't put it down now. I can't put it down. I have to keep continuing and striving for this perfection that I know I will never achieve. So yeah, it's certainly something to bear in mind. They are very hard work. It's physically and mentally demanding to fly an eagle, and that's something that, like a baptism of fire, you'll either go all in, immerse yourself, and be all encompassed by the experience, or you sort of heed eagle falconers' warnings about how difficult it is and know that you shouldn't until the time's right. So for example, I'd love to fly a spar. It's something I've always wanted to do. I think it's almost a rite of passage for a UK falconer to fly a spar at some point in their falconry career. However, I know that I do not have the time and the patience at the moment to fly a spar successfully. There's one thing getting a bird and flying it to an alright level, but if you're going to do something, do the bird justice and do it properly, do it well, do it to the highest standards you possibly can. And although that's something I'm struggling to do with the eagle, because I completely underestimated the level of difficulty, I know that I could not fly a spar without killing one. That it would die. I would mess up its weight management somehow, or it'd do something fundamentally wrong and kill that spar, whether it be unintentional or not, you know. And that's that sort of mindset I think you need to go into, whether you're starting falconry at the start of your career or looking into flying something like a golden eagle, something that's a little bit more complex and demanding. So that's sort of quite off-putting. So I suppose I'll finish waffling on with the positives, and for me the positives are pretty much the same as the negatives. It's addictive. It is, for me anyway, my sort of experience has been that it's so different that I'm enjoying it. It's like I'm starting falconry again. It's like I'm the apprentice and I've got a bird, and it's a bit like, well, can I come out with you? And I've gone from being quite a lonesome falconer, although I do a lot with Tommy. I enjoy his company and his camaraderie, to becoming a falconer who goes to a lot of social meets with other eaglemen. And the reason for that is that I'm learning and I'm studying people, and I'm studying how they practice their eagle falconry, and sort of what standard their eagle is, and seeing what its attributes are, how it behaves, how it performs, and how the falconer interacts with that eagle to get that sort of response. And I'm cherry picking information and data regarding that, and sort of trying to implement it into my own practices and my own eagle. So although those negatives that I've just touched on could be off-putting, like I said, it's whether or not you fully immerse yourself in the experience and just take the plunge and experience it. Now I always have been lucky enough that I've grown up with Dad as sort of a falconer, a falconry, figure in my life. Not just my father, but he's also a practicing falconer and has always practiced to a very high standard. And, excuse me. And then he's moved on and progressed with eagles, and I watched the build up to him before he acquired his eagle, and his study of eagle falconry. And I've been fortunate enough that I've been put in good stead, or in a position where when I have acquired my own eagle, whether or not I know it fully or not, especially on a subconscious level, I've retained a lot of information on how to interact, and seeing the level of falconry Dad achieves with his eagle, and the mannerisms and the behavioural traits of his eagle, mostly good, some not so good, not in a horrible way, but in a a hunting way. He's matured. He's learned that he can scan fields for hares, etc., and watched how I can prevent this. So I've got an eagle that lands in trees. That's how he was trained to that. I don't think golden eagle should land in trees, and I've learnt that from Dad. Dad's eagle, I think, in 12 or 13 seasons has landed in less than half a dozen trees. It's very good in that sense. So yeah, from an early age, I've managed to cherry pick information and data through my dad, and that's put me, well, what I thought was in better stead. Whereas actually I've learned that I know nothing at all. But positive wise, again, apart from it just being so immersive and addictive and obsessive, is that it's a unique look into falconry. It's a small category within falconry, not just nationally but globally, where it's still, there's something so primitive about it still. There's something that's sort of connects me with sort of our ancestral past as a species, is that they are, I mean, some people call them dragons, and when you see one that's displaying and maybe on a kill, and it's got its crest up and its wings out, they do look like, I call them fireballs, but certainly dragons. And when you're hunting with one, there is something very primitive or primeval about it that you really feel you connect with the past. It's a practice of falconry. It's been done for thousands of years, and we're fortunate enough that we can practice it as well. So there's something there that's really special, and to be honest with you, I'm not articulate enough to explain all of the positives that I feel emotionally about flying an eagle in lowland eagle falconry in the UK. It's certainly something I could never stop doing. So hopefully I can learn more and more and improve my skills as a falconer and improve the eagle that I fly. So hopefully bit more information next season. I can learn a bit more. I've certainly learnt a lot this season. I say I've learnt, the eagle has taught me a lot and put me in better stead for next year. So hopefully we can continue to improve, continue to progress, and I can unlock more information from such a unique and mysterious species of raptor that we're so lucky to be able to fly.
Hi, I'm Tom. I flew Zeus a little bit this season. I'd say the best thing about flying an eagle was when it went well, it was spectacular and some really good flights. And then on the flip side, the worst part about flying an eagle was on a bad day, it was the most boring falconry. It's a slog carrying one around. But overall, it is the pain's worth the reward when it goes well.
So Kieran, you've just flown my Golden Eagle Zeus. This is 12th season. You've got a microphone on, so I'm hoping, actually I need to shout, I'm hoping there's no wind noise, because you've got the mic and I haven't.
Yep.
Tell me briefly what you've learned, what you've found out, what you've enjoyed, what you haven't enjoyed about lugging a bloody great eagle around for a winter over muddy fields.
I think that's one of the biggest things, is lugging a bloody great eagle around over the fields. Yeah, it's definitely not an easy task by any chance. It is tiring. It's a lot of work for some quite a little bit of reward, to be fair. You don't get too much. As a lot of people know, this season the game has been small numbers. I think across the country people have found the same problem. It's hard to find anything at the moment. It started off really well, good high for the season. First time out with Dave, was the first time I've ever flew the eagle. First slip of the season, and he caught one straight away. So that's probably the high of the season. We're straight away thinking,
It was like beginner's luck, wasn't it?
it was, yeah, and it was this is going to be a great season. This is going to go really well, and we should be catching stuff all the time. Soon found out that was not the case, and it's a lot harder to find and catch hares. It's not every time you let him go he catches one as easy as that.
No. So I told you that he averages 5 or 6 a year. How
Yep.
many did you, with a bit of help from Tommy a couple of times?
Yeah,
How much
Tommy
did
does.
you guys?
We had 5, so he
Oh,
stuck
so
to his average.
Just his average.
Yeah.
And yet, first time out, it looked like it was going to be
It was going to,
easy,
easy, yeah, nice easy game, but he's,
So in a sentence or so,
yep.
best thing, because you've flown birds before, you're not
Yep.
a novice.
No, yep.
Best thing about flying a golden eagle this season?
Best thing about flying the golden eagle season, I think one of the good things I like about it, it's really impressive to see. Obviously, it's so different to flying. I've flown hawks, falcons, owls, working at a falconry centre when I was younger, a real variety of like vultures, everything. It's such a different way of falconry, and their mindset is so much different to other birds. It's
go on, sorry.
it's a lot to pick it up and take it in. It's a complete different game.
Learning curve, as they say.
Oh, massively. Yeah, massively.
So go on then. The worst thing.
Worst thing, probably a mistake I made, was I gave him too much of a break over Christmas. His fitness dropped, and then sort of this second half of the season, it's been really hard to kind of get him back on the ball again. And I think he's realised that as well, and he's become a little bit self-hunty, and it's made the second half of the season after Christmas that little bit hard. And I think what I could have if I carried him on and didn't have such a break in the middle.
Yeah, I'll go with that. And February are always funny things anyway, they seem to be. Okay, cheers for that, Kieran.
No worries.
Thanks for giving him some exercise this year.
No, thank you very much.